where KD had some very, very interesting things to say about his starting lineup.
What a complete dumpster fire that's going on in Brooklyn right now. Started out, we got the whole Kyrie situation, which, by the way, he might.
Updated Kyrie is expected to play
Kyrie is expected
versus
to play
Memphis
this weekend, so that's, I guess, good news for the team. But yes, we all saw what KD said, and he sounds like he's kind of frustrated with the team. It sounds like he only believes in himself, which is, as someone who's supposed to be our leader, is kind of the exact last thing you want to hear. And as the other players on the team, seeing Kevin Durant say that, it's got to be pretty frustrating. But another thing that's frustrating is how god-awful Ben Simmons has been. And it is now, a report came out that the coaching staff and the front office is quite frustrated with him.
Well, what are you going to do with him? He's making $50 million a year. Nobody wants him. He's going to rot in Brooklyn.
I mean, he's shown it in the past. We've seen what he can do. We know he's a great defender. We know he can facilitate the ball, but the inability to put the ball in the basket, you can see he has a lack of confidence. That's a big concern, and I don't know. Right, it's not getting any better. There's no fans this time to really get in his head. The Brooklyn Nets, we don't have any fans, so that's not an issue.
It's like though, but he's been, I want to say, ragged on for his shooting for the last 3 seasons, and has shown no effort to try to improve it.
Listen,
no effort from Ben Simmons.
We see guys throughout their career evolve their game. Small example, Joel Embiid, Miles Turner. These guys came into the league and they couldn't shoot at all, and now here they are.
Even Giannis can shoot better than when he came into the league.
It's just part of the game now. You have to be able to shoot, and the fact that, you make a great point, that he hasn't even made any slight effort to get better in that aspect is really concerning, and I'm very concerned as a Nets fan, and even with Kyrie coming back, I have no confidence in this team.
Really, it just looks that Ben Simmons is lazy. He found something that worked and then thought he could abuse that and use that, and then when teams said, well, we know you can do that, so we're going to stop that, he really didn't think of any other plan B to score.
Ben Simmons would have fit really well in, the 70s and the 80s, but in this day and age, you need to be able to shoot. It's part of the game. Steph Curry has completely changed the game, and the fact that he has not even just a bad jumper, but literally a complete non-factor.
I think if you gave us each 10 threes, I think I'd hit more threes than Ben Simmons.
You honestly maybe could. I mean, we got a game tonight, so we'll see.
I have 100% three-point percentage in our league.
You're very efficient. That's all. That's all I can say. But let's switch over to the other side of New York. Let's talk about the New York Knicks.
Manhattan. The Knicks get their first win in Denver since 2006. My brother was born in 2006. That's how long it's been, and he's old.
Super old. He can barely move anymore. But the Knicks are, well, for the 3rd week in a row, mid.
Still mid. They're gonna finish the season at 35 and 47, and you're gonna be like, wow. You missed the playoffs, and you missed a chance at Wembanyama. What did you do?
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly perfectly said. You're not going to make the playoffs, and if you do, you're going to be the last seed and probably get knocked out in the first round.
Speaking of the draft,
first pick
you realize that the draft right now could end up being number 1 pick awarded to the Lakers, who give it to the Pelicans, and the number 2 pick awarded to the Nets, who have to give it to the Rockets. Could you imagine the top 2 picks being given away?
Well, I don't think the Nets will be that low. Regardless, I mean, even if the season were to end today, which obviously it's very early on, but we still wouldn't. We would have the 7th odds or whatever. But right now, the Nets would keep their own pick. The Rockets would keep their own pick. The Nets have the 2nd best pick of the Rockets, the Nets, and the Sixers. So right now we would have our own pick, which would be around the 7th or 8th pick. The Rockets would have that first pick, which is their own, and then
it would be the first time and probably last time the Nets draft in this decade.
The Nets have not had
within the first round.
The Nets have not had a top 10 pick since moving to Brooklyn.
Yeah, because they traded them all for Paul Pierce and Garnett, and who else did they get? Was it Rondo? No, it wasn't Rondo.
Gerald Wallace.
Yeah,
well, that was actually Gerald Wallace. No, so we got Jason Terry, my bad, and then we got Gerald Wallace for another pick, which ended up being Damian Lillard.
Yeah, you guys trade away some good picks.
Yeah, pretty crazy, but
I do know the Knicks traded away the Jamal Murray pick. Did you know that?
I did know that.
The Jamal Murray pick was owned by the Knicks, and they traded it to Denver.
Well, the Knicks have made quite a few
deal.
other misdrafts before, besides Jamal Murray.
Hey, we hit in the late 20s. Just ask Quickly and Grimes, who
very true.
No longer sees the floor anymore, Quentin Grimes. I mean, it's a win-lose for Knicks fans.
When does Tibbs go? When does he go?
After the year,
middle of the year?
If it was me, give me his phone number right now. I'll tell him he's dismissed.
Okay, now when do you think he'll actually go?
End of the year. I think they're going to give him
the full year.
Yeah, the full year, and then when the Knicks don't make the playoffs, they're going to say, "Well, this didn't work." I fully believe that Tibbs' first year was a fluke. I think that was the fluke season, not last year where they missed it. I think he fluked them, and they took everyone by surprise.
It kind of took advantage of a weaker
conference. And I think that it goes without real notice that how important I think Reggie Bullock was to that team, because you brought in Evan Fournier, who scores a lot better, but his defense is horrendous, and all of a sudden they give up way more points. When Bullock was there, they kept down the scores, which kept them in ball games.
Mm-hmm. So I want to pose you a question, Cole. So far the Hawks are third in the East at 9-6. Do you consider the Hawks, with, in my opinion, one of the best young players in the league, Trae Young, to be a contender? It's very early on.
To win it all? Or just like oh, that's a stupid question.
Would you consider them a contender for this year and the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay. That was a stupid question on my part to say to win it all, because obviously that's what you mean by contender.
They've beaten teams like the Bucks, Sixers.
No, only because I feel like
twice.
when it really gets the pressure really gets on them, the lights shine the brightest. I feel as though they always seem to falter. They don't have that final. Actually, no. Now with DeJounte Murray, they might, but I think they're missing one last piece.
I agree with
to
you.
put themselves over the edge.
100%. Trae Young and DeJounte, literally like perfect compliments. One of the best.
The problem is though, if they were going to spend all that money, I would have rather got a 3 than a 2.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
They're a little small, is what I think.
And it's kind of positionless basketball these days. But I think, just going back a little to what you said, I think they need, if they got an elite wing, I think that team could be.
It's the problem. You can't afford an elite wing though when you're paying Capella and
Trae
Young.
Capella's done. He's their backup. Nkunku's going to take over. You got to get off Capella's contract somehow. They have some depth. John Collins, DeAndre Hunter. They just drafted AJ Griffin. They have some depth there, but.
Speaking of the Hawks and what used to be their depth, can we apologize to Cam Reddish, who has looked way better for the Knicks these last few weeks?
He just needs the playing time. Like that's the best I could say. If Tibbs is very inconsistent with minutes, he's kind of a toss up. We know he likes to play veterans.
He'll play like
him, Obi, Grimes. Like these guys need to get
instead of playing RJ 45 minutes a night, play RJ 35, play Randall 35, and there's 20 minutes you just freed up for Obi and Grimes.
Listen, you need to start. You need to play guys like Reddish, Obi, instead of
Randall, Fournier. Fournier finally fell out of favor.
Like these guys are just not they're not any part of your future. Like you need to get the young guys in and let them develop and get some good quality minutes.
Let's switch over from the hardwood to the ice. The Isles just keep showing that last year was a fluke. They really look like a real team. And now the question starts to grow. They need a little more scoring. Where do they go at the deadline? And I'm going to bring up an interesting name that I read about that I really want in Vancouver's Bo Horvat. Bo Horvat has 14 goals and 7 assists on the season, and the Islanders desperately need a scorer. Yes, he's a center, which the Islanders are very... You know how people say, like, when you're missing positions, you're thin? Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll say they're thick at center?
Yep.
Something felt wrong about saying that. But so, they have a lot of good centers, but it's time, in my opinion, to move Matt Barzal, who doesn't do well on faceoffs, and needs more defensive freedom, if that makes sense. I feel like as a center, the defense watches you more and is more on you, needs more defensive freedom to get his act together. He's had 1 million assists to start the season. I believe he's up to 18 in as many games, but he has no goals. And for a $9.15 million man, your top-line center, that's a problem. Bo Horvat would complement him perfectly, I think, because he's got a wicked shot and is grimy around the net like Anders Lee. So I think the Islanders should really go for it this year with Bo Horvat.
Do you think it's smart for the Canucks to sell? They're not doing great this year.
They are absolutely in the position to sell. They need to rebuild that farm system. I wouldn't be surprised if they go into a complete fire sale. JT Miller just re-signed, so he's here to stay. Elias Pettersson is not someone you give up on, but Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, and some of the other guys there, it's time to go. It's time to start over in Vancouver. It didn't work. They don't use their development system well. The Islanders need to take advantage. They were close to a JT Miller deal, and then that fell apart, which led into an Alex Romanov deal, which turned out to be way better for them. I believe the time is right. And they're going to have 13.5 pretty much at the deadline to make moves. Now, perfect dream deadline. You ready for this? Bo Horvat and Vladimir Tarasenko. You let Anthony Beauvillier go in one of the trades. Most probable is the Bo Horvat one. And then all of a sudden your first line looks Horvat, Barzal, and Tarasenko, and that is going to be a scoring monster. Barzal will just feed those two like crazy. I can picture it now. Barzal feeds Tarasenko, takes a wicked shot, bounces off the goalie, and Horvat cleans it up for an Islander goal. I think that's where they look. I think the defense is fine. The scoring is what they need.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Islanders definitely, they're in the position to make a push once the deadline approaches. If they really want to be real contenders, I agree with you. They got to get another strong goal scorer.
I know some people did also say, like I said, I think the defense is fine. People have talked that maybe you look into a defensive help. I don't know where you really look to find that. I think that Aho, not that Aho, not that Sebastian. You know that there's 2 Sebastian Ahos in the NHL?
I did not know that.
There's the goal-scoring Carolina Hurricanes Sebastian Aho and the New York Islanders scrub Sebastian Aho, but I think he's been completely fine and fits in well. They will have a problem at the end of the year if they want to re-sign all these guys. And by all these guys, I mean whoever they trade for, because they're going to make a trade. Lou needs to make a big move. I think Islander fans are a little not annoyed, I should say, because he built the team again, but a little sick of sitting on their hands and saying, when are we finally going to make that move to put us over the hump? Romanov was a good start, but we need one more last scoring piece. I think with Varlamov's money coming off the books, you're going to have to save that for Sorokin, because Sorokin's a free agent after next season, and you need him. I think it's time to give up on maybe Anthony Beauvillier or maybe even J.G. Pageau, one of the two making big money. I am very biased to keep Bailey, even though I know many Islander fans want to get rid of him. But we need a little money to make a big move. Or if you want to say this isn't the year, we're going to be competitive and maybe we get lucky, maybe you wait for the end of the season to sign a Bo Horvat or even a David Pastrnak. We'll see how that situation plays out in Boston, but no extension talks as of late. So any input on where you think they should go? Free agency, deadline?
Like
right
I said,
now?
I think they got to go for it. I agree with you. I think they have a talented roster, but I don't think it's as complete as it could be. I think they need to make, like I said before, that final push, probably more closer to the deadline. And then I think, as an Islanders fan, not myself, but you got something to be real excited about.
The problem is the team is getting old. So that window, it's open.
The window is
but
right
it's
now.
Not
That's why you got to trade for some
wide
guys
open.
right
They
now.
need to make the deal now. And Bo Horvat, I think, fits it well. He's 27 years old, which is young. He's entering his prime. Put up 30 goals last year. I think 30 goals last year. Has been a 20-goal scorer his entire career. Does not have any contract negotiation going with Vancouver. He's their captain, so he's got a good leadership personality. The time is now for the Islanders to strike. We just have a trade coming in, by the way, from Seattle and Arizona, the Diamondbacks and the Mariners.
Really?
Yeah, outfielder Kyle Lewis is going to Arizona, and outfielder/catcher Cooper Hummel to Seattle.
Oh, wow.
It's a 1-for-1.
So it was, say it again?
The Seattle Mariners are sending Kyle Lewis to Arizona for outfielder-catcher Cooper Hummel.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I guess they're making that spot there for Kelenic, maybe?
Yeah, because that's the guy I want to make a spot for.
Mm.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis was the 2020 Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean much, to be honest.
I think he had a really down year this year, right?
Speaking of Rookie of the Years, they actually just announced the Rookie of the Years and the Cy Youngs. What are your thoughts on that?
No
Verlander
surprise.
and Sandy Alcantara, the first 2 unanimous Cy Youngs in the since 1976.
Isn't it going to be crazy when there's 3 multiple Cy Young winners on the Mets staff? When you have DeGrom, Scherzer, and Verlander?
Free agency.
You really want to go for it? That's what you do.
No one has signed yet.
Yeah, because it's the most boring free agency in the face of the earth.
I love how the NBA, the second the market opens, guys are flying off the board.
Last year with the lockout was great. Boom, everyone was off the board by the time the lockout came.
Last year's NFL offseason, the amount of trades that happened was ridiculous.
Baseball moves at a snail's pace. I'd rather watch paint dry. I mean, you're not going to get your first deal till mid-January.
Well, we actually just signed Anthony Rizzo back.
Your first real deal, or it's someone.
It's
Tyler Anderson switched up on LA teams, but I don't know. I feel like that's a flash pan. Like a lightning in a bottle. I don't think he's gonna do that again.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with the Angels, who have a history of big move. Oh man, what happened?
The Angels just can't get it right, man. They really do have 2 MVPs on their team.
Someone was saying they should sign Judge. Could you imagine?
They'd still suck.
I don't know how you could
suck
with those 3, but they'd find a way.
Do you realize how good Mike Trout was this year? I don't think a lot of people
He
because
was-
of
he
the year
was-
Judge had.
Trout was
And then Ohtani.
Trout only hit like 300
And
with
then
like
Bryce
30 home
Harper.
runs and over 100 RBIs. He had a bad year.
He hit 283 with 40 home runs.
That's
he
it?
hit 40 home runs.
That's it.
And he had a 1,000 OPS.
That's okay
A
for Trout.
370 on base. He had a ridiculous year, and
That's
it was
okay.
just unnoticed. Yeah, okay, maybe for him it's not so out of the water, but
But if you see anyone else doing that, they'd be, oh my goodness, look at the emergence.
Exactly, and
Wasn't he hurt for a little bit too?
This year, Mike Trout played 100. He missed 40 games and still hit 40 home runs. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, this guy's the best player in the league. No one's better than him.
I'm
No
a little
one is better
interested.
than him.
He missed 40 games and hit 40 home runs, which
No,
means
he
he
would not
probably
have
would have
beaten
hit
Judge.
50. No, he wouldn't have beaten the Judge, but he probably would have hit 50.
He would have been second in the league.
Would you say 50?
I'd say it's a very good shot.
So Judge
Schwarber
hits
was second with
62.
46.
Schwarber hits 46, and Judge hits. Not Judge. Trout would have hit 50. You think something was up with the baseballs?
No.
Like when Judge and you remember Judge and Alonso's when they both broke rookie things where the balls were a little juiced.
I mean, we see plenty of we see each year. Okay, Judge was obviously a severe outlier, hitting 662. That's a ridiculous.
Oh no, wait, was it?
amount.
Oh, it was. I thought I almost said 63.
But other years, Schwarber was second with 46, and then only two other guys hit 40. It's not that out of the ordinary. You usually get multiple guys each year in the 40s. I don't really think the balls were juiced.
Okay, let's go back to the ice with the team in Madison Square Garden who is staying afloat, I would say. They're not off to a horrendous start, but it's not the start that the fans thought. I am willing to say that last year for New York hockey was a fluke. The Islanders fluked into being a bad team, and the Rangers fluked into being a conference final team. I think the Rangers will make the playoffs. I think the entire metropolitan area will be 1, 2, and 3. No, let me take that back. 2 of the metropolitan area teams will be in the top 3. The Rangers will be a wild card, and Carolina is going to be one of the 2 in there. I think Washington and Pittsburgh's reign of playoff time is over. I think the Devils are starting a new reign. I think they're on the up and up between Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier. And then you just throw in Dougie Hamilton and all the other pieces they have, like Jesper Bratt and Sharon Govich. And now they have emerging goalies in Vitaly Vanacek and Mackenzie Blackwood. I think the Devils are on the up and up. But the Rangers, how many times I got to say they need defense? How many times I have to say it? It's so clear that they still need defense. Actual defense. Not scoring defense. Defensive defense. And they never listen. You're going to give up at least 2 or 3 goals a game, even 4 when you're facing 40 shots.
Reality is you need some defense, regardless of how good the offense is.
They tip off tonight at 10. I said tip off. They drop the puck tonight at 10 against the Kraken, while the Islanders drop the puck in an hour at 8 against Nashville. And we only have 10 minutes left. What have we not touched on? Baseball?
Football.
Oh, football. Yeah, that one.
Football. So, big week this week for the Jets and Giants. So, smaller news, but the Bills-Browns game just got moved to Detroit because of the severe weather that's going to be in Buffalo. And I was talking with...
Wait. Bills and Browns in Detroit?
The Bills so due to the severe weather conditions that are supposed to be in Buffalo this weekend, even though they've played in monstrous snowstorms before and football plays in basically any weather besides lightning, they moved the game to Detroit, and this actually drastically changes the game. Because if you have... Goldschmidt just won the MVP, no shock there. Quick, just wanted to point that out. But if you have 2-3 feet of snow on the ground, and the Bills' best ability is to throw the football with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, like one of the best stacks in the league, this gives the Browns kind of an open window with 2 very, very good running backs in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and an elite offensive line. So I really thought the Browns could have went in there and really pulled off a big upset, which would have been huge for the Jets, because this would have put the Jets in first place in the division, assuming, this would put the Jets to first place in the division if they were to win and the Dolphins were to lose this week. So that would have been huge if they could have gotten not 1 but 2 games, not a tie, but a game up on the Bills, and they'd also have the tiebreaker over them because they beat them so far. So that's kind of unfortunate to see.
It's interesting to think that Detroit is probably closer to Buffalo than MetLife.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy if you think about it. But sticking on the Jets, this is a huge week. They versus the Patriots. They lost to the Patriots last time. Patriots are 5-4. Jets are 6-3. This is a must-win if you want to make the playoffs. Obviously, the division's going to be tight with the Bills and the Dolphins, but the Jets are kind of a surprise right now. But they're sticking in it, especially with their big win over the Bills, and they have a big win over the Dolphins earlier in the year as well. But you can't get swept by the Patriots. That might take their chances of the playoffs away. Giants versus the Lions this week. Giants are 7-2 right now. They should beat the Lions. They should really have no issue there. But the Giants, believe it or not, are in a very tough division. Eagles just got handed their first loss, and Cowboys look pretty good. Dak looks pretty healthy, but that division should definitely also be very interesting. Switching to the AFC North a little bit, my Baltimore Ravens, I'm not going to lie, are in, I think, a very, very good spot right now. If you look at our schedule for the rest of the season, it's kind of a cakewalk. We play the Panthers and Jaguars the next 2 weeks. We should win those 2 games. That puts us in 8-3. Then we play Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Falcons. All those games are winnable. We'll probably lose 1 here or there, but let's say we win 3 of those 4, and then we finish with the Steelers, Bengals. We should probably lose to the Bengals, but beat the Steelers. We should win about 12 games, and I expect us to win this division. Now, as we know, the Ravens have been the kings of selling games this year. We've seen it against the Bills, the Dolphins. Absolutely horrific. But we've picked it up the last few weeks. We've maintained our leads. I'm excited for the Ravens. Hopefully they gain some momentum going into the playoffs. Let's see. Los Angeles Chargers. We got the Chargers trying to stay close to the Kansas City Chiefs, but I just don't think they're good enough. Herbert, I personally think, is not fully healed from his injury, his rib injury. He's not been bad, but he hasn't been what we expect him to be, the elite quarterback. But hopefully he gets healthier soon, and we can start seeing some elite play from him. It would also very much help my fantasy team. But Patrick Mahomes, and especially now with Josh Allen, he's thrown a lot of picks lately. He hasn't looked as good. He's fumbled twice against the Jets and threw 2 picks. I think it's kind of safe to say that if you didn't think Mahomes was already the best quarterback, now it's kind of undisputed. While not a knock on Josh Allen, but just think Mahomes is kind of in his own tier. Switching to the NFC, the Minnesota Vikings. Are they contenders or pretenders? I would say that if they were in the AFC, they'd be pretenders. But due to the NFC being so weak, I think they have a legit chance to at least get to the Super Bowl. Their only real competition, in my opinion, are the Eagles and the Bucks. Eagles, Bucks, and Cowboys. I really have no faith in the Giants. If I'm the Vikings and I see the Giants in the playoffs, I am beyond thrilled. The Seahawks, I am not scared of at all. The 49ers, I forgot to mention the 49ers. They're a very, very, very good team. I think they'll win that division.
Scaredy cat. Yeah. You're scared of everyone.
The Rams are 3-6. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs at this point. Same with the Cardinals.
Wait, the Rams are only 3-6?
The Rams are 3-6. Matt Stafford's
one-hit
elbow's been kind
wonder.
of messed up. Yeah, hey, I mean, they won their Super Bowl, but they have not looked good. And yeah, I'd say the Vikings have a legit shot to win. I think they're definitely going to win the division, but I think they have a legit shot to win, or at least win the NFC. But my favorite for the Super Bowl is, no shock, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'd also like to go back on one of my takes from a few weeks ago where I said the Dolphins are pretenders.
Why do you say it like that? I would like to go back on one of my takes from a week ago.
The Dolphins, I think, are a little more than pretenders. I don't think they're full contenders because I don't think they'll beat a team like the Chiefs, and I don't think they'll beat the Bills in the playoffs.
They have so many weapons, though. How could
agree.
you not?
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, but I just don't think Tua's gonna. I don't think he's good enough to beat a Mahomes, a Josh Allen.
I feel like it won't matter, though, because I think their receiving core is just so good that it makes Tua look better.
And believe it or not, I think the Ravens also are legit contenders. I think we got a legit shot. We've had our mishaps, we've had our defensive collapses, but we've seen what the offense can do, and our defense has looked a little better as of late. We get fully healthy. We have a very good secondary. Hopefully Marcus Williams, that's a big blow to the defense, but hopefully Kyle Hamilton, he's looked really good. And, so I have high hopes for this Ravens team.
Well, we're just about out of time, so if you want to call us, now is your last chance in the season finale. Was it season 2? We'll be back with season 3 in the spring. My laptop won't load, so I can't even read off anything crazy. The World Cup starts soon.
Yes, the World Cup is starting soon. We had our good friend Keishi Videshi call in last week to discuss it with us a little. That starts, I think, on the 20th.
I can't wait to watch it to help me go to bed at night.
Yes, me too, as it's very, very, very boring. But, let's go France, I guess. Oh, wait, no, the United States.
Why wouldn't you root for the
United States? We got, more importantly and more interesting, we have our 2 final regular season intramural basketball games tonight.
That is important.
Win both and we're in.
No, we just have to win one.
We only have to win one?
We have to win one, and then we
win
need...
and you're in.
All right, here's how it's going to work. The one team we're playing tonight is definitely going to make the playoffs, whether they're 1 or 2. They're like 4-0. They're going to make it. We are 2-2. Another team is 2-2, and one of the teams is 0-4. We play the 0-4 team. We should beat them and go to 3-2. Then we have to play the 4-0 team. I suspect we lose to them, and we go 3-3.
Well, we're missing our key player, Benjamin Sweeney.
Who cares? I'm here. I will lead us to a championship. If we can somehow, I think that if the other team that's 2-2 splits and goes 3-3, I think that we beat them in the tiebreaker because I think our point differential is better than theirs.
Do you think the only shot we have at beating the 4-0 team is by having Takeover bend over tonight?
No, I think it's by taking out their kneecaps because we have no chance against them.
Well, hopefully we get another reassurance of
Squat
Yanover taking over again. But I think that's all we got, Cole.
That's it. It is 6:59 on the clock. We really run out of topics because we're talking about our very own intramural basketball. So I guess for the final time this season, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for listening for the entire season. We hope that we keep you hooked for next year. Maybe a new time. We'll keep you posted. And yeah, thanks for listening. Love you, Pop Pop. Goodbye.
The preceding program was a presentation of WHRW's Public Affairs Department. WHRW takes pride in the quality of its community programming. Feedback about our programming may